watching.
Measure twice.
Not yet.
On three. It's the official truck of Homecoming.
Alright guys, so I did go see Us and Dolby, and of course I'll be talking about the Dolby experience after I'm done talking about the actual movie itself, because this is an experience that I really want to go into detail with you guys, because watching this movie in a format with natural like surround sound was just a terrifying experience. So of course we'll get more into that after the review for the actual movie itself. But anyways, a little bit of story details without going too much into detail. So basically, to keep it simple for you guys and us, we have a family that goes on a vacation, and while they're on vacation they come across duplicates of themselves that overnight they start hunting this family down and they start going after them. So Jordan Peele has set up the bar up very high with Get Out, which I did not see in theaters, so I did not review it, but I did catch on streaming a few months later, and I bought the Blu-ray because I really liked the movie. And by the way, I didn't see the movie in theaters because I was 15 at the time and I had no one to see the movie with because it was rated R. But of course, I really liked that movie, so that's as far as you guys should probably know. But now 2 years later, we are into his sophomore follow-up, which of course he already set the bar high enough that many of us really had faith to see him restore that, but we didn't know how good this movie could possibly be. And of course, after watching Get Out and Us on the same day back to back, I'm fully convinced that Jordan Peele is going to be the next big thing when it comes to the horror genre. Jordan Peele here makes one of the most thrilling and terrifying experiences that I've had watching a movie in the longest time. And by longest time, I'm not even exaggerating this, a very, very long time, like over a year. And you know, Jordan Peele once again is just phenomenal when he's in the director's chair. And of course he's very funny with his comedy as well, but as a director, he just has all these bizarre ideas and he embraces them into his film in such a way unlike any other horror film. He knows the idea that he wants and he approaches it and he nails it. There are a good amount of scenes in this movie that are really creative and fun for how a slasher horror movie could go. Unlike most slasher films, he doesn't take the repetitive route where he just makes the story go nowhere and makes it be like that for like a whole hour, which is something that I complain a lot about slasher movies, something I complained about recently with the new Strangers movie, and which I thought was terrible, and Hellfest, which I didn't think was all that good either. Unlike those movies, this movie actually goes somewhere and it never really feels repetitive at all. He brings more fresh ideas to the story as the movie goes on, and it just keeps the movie flowing, and it flows very well. And he adds quite a bit of thrilling elements to the movie where it never feels forced or it never feels like it's too much either. And he also, into the mix, he mixes the comedy to the horror, and he mixes it very well. Many people think that the comedy feels a bit distracting at times, but I honestly think that it was actually perfectly timed. Now, as the story goes on, the movie gets more thrilling and it indeed gets more frightening, and it builds up the tense from one act to another. And many horror movies nowadays, and I complain about this in just about every horror movie that I review today, horror movies today, since it's basically now the norm in horror movies, they think that in order to scare an audience, they think that the movie must rely on jump scares to do so, to scare the audience. And, it's not a bad thing, just that it's definitely something that horror movies really rely on way too much, and they overuse to a point where it just gets annoying and doesn't even feel scary anymore. This movie, of course, does have a few jump scares here and there, but for me, what made the movie quite frightening was the tense to it and how it escalated in a natural way. And that's what I love about this movie. It felt unsettling in a way where I was really kind of frightened, and I was thrilled at the same time. And that's what really creeped me out, or I guess you could even say kind of scared me during the movie. That natural presence of the horror just being there, aside from just being full of jump scares. And I think it's something that this movie does fantastic. Now, of course, Lupita Nyong'o, I believe her last name is, she's fantastic in this movie. And later in the year, I think she will be overlooked, which is unfortunate because I think she does a really great job in this movie. Winston Duke is a lot of fun here as well. And of course, it's actually quite nice seeing his career evolve from Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and now Us. And now many people, the problem that many people are complaining about is that many people have some problems with the script, and it's an issue that I've been hearing quite a lot from a lot of you guys, especially after that big twist at the ending, which I'm not going to say anything about, except that I personally liked it. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but after some, and I didn't like it at first, but after some thought, it was actually really clever, and I see why they decided to make that twist in the end, which it was extremely well set up, and which unfortunately though I did see coming in the beginning of the movie, but I thought that the writing here was fine. Yes, it left the viewer with a few questions, but I believe that that was Jordan Peele's intention. I believe that that's what he was going for. I'm sure he wanted to make the viewers feel confused as some of the characters did in this movie. And I'm sure he wanted for the audience to kind of puzzle it up and for them to basically come up for their own conclusion to this movie. I don't know, something like that. But I'm pretty sure that that was his intentions when he was making this movie. But there, just a small nitpick. There are some things in this movie that just logically just do not make any sense. But I think that's basically the only nitpick that I had with this movie. But in the end, guys, Jordan Peele just killed it. He embraced every idea that he had, and he made a hell of a film that just escalated as the frame went on. And I love this movie. It's a charm, and I adore this movie. So with that being said, this movie is definitely worth paying full price for, and I'm gonna give Us an A. Now, if you guys plan to see this movie, and if you guys have Dolby Cinema near you guys, I cannot stress this enough. I think this is the way you should definitely view this movie, because I've seen a lot of movies in Dolby, and this manages to be one of my favorite Dolby experiences I've ever had. Aside from the 4K Dolby Vision projection, which obviously looks very good, the surround sound in this thing is crazy. The surround sound and sound editing is great in this movie, and you just throw in the Dolby Atmos into it, and it makes the experience more effective. It feels more natural, and it feels more frightening, because the sound design in this movie is something that they use as a tool to really make you more thrilled and more frightened into the movie. And hearing that in Dolby Atmos, it just elevates the experience, and it takes it up to 100. So definitely see this movie in Dolby, just for the surround sound alone. This movie sounds fantastic in Dolby. Of course, they do use the overhead speakers quite a bit, so Dolby is the way to watch this movie. If you guys have one near you guys, of course. But anyways, have you guys seen this movie? Have you guys seen it? What did you guys think about it? Tell me in the comment section below. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.